The courtroom was unusually crowded that morning. Whispers filled the air, camera flashes lit up the room, and journalists scribbled notes with eager hands. The judge sat in his high-backed chair, looking serious, yet slightly amused. Everyone was here for one reason. Today's case involved a defendant whose defense attorney was rumored to be nothing more than a teenager. The heavy wooden doors creaked open. A slim, sharp-eyed young boy walked in. His clothes were neat but simple, his face fresh and almost too innocent for a place like this. He clutched a worn leather briefcase, the kind older lawyers usually carried, and his steps were steady, but his eyes held a glimmer of nerves. A ripple of soft laughter spread through the courtroom. Someone whispered, "Is this the lawyer?" Another snickered, "What is he, 14? Even the judge's lips curved into a faint smirk. "Son," the judge said in a teasing tone, "this is a courtroom, not a school debate. Where's your guardian?" The boy stood tall, bowed his head respectfully, and replied in a calm, measured voice, "Your Honor, with your permission, I would like to begin my client's defense." That caught everyone off guard. Some chuckled under their breath. Others shook their heads as if waiting for the inevitable embarrassment. But the boy didn't flinch. He opened his briefcase, pulled out a stack of papers, and stepped forward with the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. The prosecution smirked, certain this would be a short-lived spectacle. The first witness was called, and everyone expected the boy to stumble, to forget his lines, to falter under pressure. But the very first question he asked silenced the entire room. It wasn't an ordinary question, it was precise, surgical, and it struck directly at a detail in the witness's earlier testimony that no one else had noticed. The witness froze, eyes darting nervously. The boy asked it again, this time with sharper clarity, his voice firm but calm. The laughter in the courtroom died instantly. The judge leaned forward in his seat. The prosecutor's smirk faded. He shifted uncomfortably, flipping through his notes. Where did he get that? He wondered. The boy began weaving a web of facts and logic that was both elegant and devastating. Each question exposed cracks in the opposing side's narrative. Every answer he pulled out seemed to chip away at the foundation of the prosecution's case. He spoke without stammer, without hesitation, quoting laws, citing previous cases, even pointing out minute legal loopholes that senior attorneys sometimes overlooked. The gallery was captivated now. Journalists who had been ready to mock were furiously scribbling notes. Even the judge's face had transformed from mild amusement to focused attention. Then, almost casually, the boy reached into his bag and pulled out an old, worn notebook. "Your Honor," he said, "this is the evidence that will change everything." The courtroom erupted into murmurs. The prosecutor's eyes widened, his knuckles tightening around the pen in his hand. The judge raised an eyebrow. The boy flipped open the notebook, turning page after page until he stopped at one particular section. His eyes scanned it, and a slow, almost knowing smile appeared on his face. But then, he closed it. The entire room froze. "Go on," the judge urged. "Let's hear it." The boy shook his head slightly, still smiling. "Your Honor, we'll continue tomorrow." A wave of confusion swept through the court. But for those paying close attention, there was something unmistakable in his tone, confidence. And in that moment, everyone realized, this was no ordinary teenager. The next morning, the courtroom was packed to the brim. Word had spread overnight about the boy lawyer who had stunned everyone with his sharp mind and mysterious notebook. Reporters jostled for space, eager to capture the moment. The judge, who had been mildly entertained yesterday, now sat with a serious, expectant expression. The door opened, and the boy walked in, calm, collected, and carrying that same worn briefcase. He took his seat without a word, but his eyes held the quiet fire of someone who knew exactly how this day would end. "All rise," the bailiff called, and the judge entered. Once everyone was seated, the judge leaned forward. "Young man," he said, "yesterday you left us hanging. I trust you're ready to finish what you started." The boy gave a small nod. "Yes, Your Honor." He opened the notebook slowly, deliberately, letting the silence in the room grow heavy. All eyes were on him. Then he began to read. It was a personal journal, belonging to the main witness for the prosecution. The entries detailed meetings, payments, and, most damning of all, a confession that the testimony given against the defendant had been fabricated. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. The prosecutor leapt to his feet. "Objection. This is overruled," the judge cut in sharply. "Proceed." The boy's voice was calm but laced with precision as he explained how he'd obtained the journal legally, tracing it back through public records and cross-referencing dates with security footage. His arguments were airtight, his evidence irrefutable. The witness began to sweat, fidgeting in the chair. Under the boy's relentless questioning, cracks appeared in the story, then gaping holes. Within minutes, the witness broke down completely. It wasn't true, the witness admitted, voice trembling. I was paid to lie, paid by the company your client was fighting against. The courtroom erupted. Journalists scribbled furiously, cameras flashed, and murmurs of disbelief swept through the crowd. The judge banged the gavel. Order, order in the court. He turned to the boy. How did you? The boy closed the notebook and looked the judge in the eye. Your Honor, I studied this case for months. Every piece of evidence, every legal precedent, every witness statement. My client couldn't afford a lawyer, so I became one for him. The judge blinked. You're not officially licensed. No, Your Honor, the boy said, his voice steady. But I've been studying law since I was 12. My father was wrongfully convicted years ago, and no one fought for him. I promised myself I'd learn everything about the law so no one else in my life would suffer like he did. The room went silent. Even the prosecutor had no words. The judge's stern face softened ever so slightly. Regardless of your age, the judge said slowly, you've demonstrated remarkable skill and an unshakable commitment to justice. The truth has been revealed, and justice will be served. The gavel came down. Case dismissed. Defendant is free to go. The boy's client, a middle-aged man with tears in his eyes, hugged him tightly. The gallery erupted into applause. Reporters swarmed the boy, asking question after question, but he simply said, it's not about winning. It's about making sure the truth is louder than the lies. And as he walked out of the courtroom, briefcase in hand, the people watching knew they had just witnessed the beginning of a legend, the genius attorney in disguise, whose story would be told for years to come.